One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
So I think we have figured out what the problem is here. I think we're still working. Things are still on right now. Here's what I think the problem is. We had two problems today. One at the office that just went down. The one here at home, which is supposed to be the backup, and why it keeps going down is because we found out that I am on a home account instead of a business account. So they're going to come tomorrow and fix it so that I have like unlimited upload data, that I'm not running into any boundaries, and then things won't shut down at home. At the office, it was just simple. They just told me that. They just said, we've identified an outage affecting your services, and we're working quickly to restore services and appreciate your patience. I appreciate your patience. I know you have many opportunities and places to go, so I sincerely appreciate it. So I got my fingers crossed that everything will go right here. I'm checking the feeds to make sure that everything is going on. And as I suspected, this is a rally. Everybody thought it was just going to be a speech at this plant, the steel plant, but no, there's a whole bunch of people in the audience waiting for President Trump to arrive. As soon as he comes out, we'll go ahead and take that. In the interim, he showed up at a business nearby in, what's the name of this town? Rome, Georgia, that I want to show you. Let's check this out.
Hello, everybody. You've made a lot of money. My sister Carrie. What a nice group. So I was studying my speech. Would you like to hear my speech? Yeah. I'm making a speech in a little while. Here, take it. You can take it. Thank you, Kelly. Good. Everything okay? Everything okay. Look at those people back there. They have all those beautiful hamburgers. You've had it for a long time.
Almost 100 years.
My dad started it.
Wow.
1928. I took it over in 1983.
Wow.
And now passed it on to my son and my son-in-law.
Very good look.
It's
a good looking thing.
I have a grandson working
And you have great
here, too.
loyalty over here, too. All loyal people. Oh, look, Trump was. She's a captain. We went big, one big in Iowa, right? We were up in, all those captains were up in Iowa. And we had a great race. We had a great race spirit. We had 3 great races, you want to know the truth. And they came in, they took all those ballots, all those crooked ballots were taken. Let's see what happens. And the Democrats are fighting like hell. They don't want anyone to see those ballots. Did you see that? Let's see what happens. It's a disgrace, but what are you going to do? We're cleaning it up. Who likes voter ID? Yeah! Who likes proof of citizenship? Yeah! And who likes no mail-in ballots, except for military, illness, disability, or like you're on vacation?
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Yes. No mail-ins, you get thrown into the river, right?
No.
We're gonna clean it up.
Who likes Clay Fuller?
Who likes Clay Fuller? Come on over here, sister. Come on over here. Clay Fuller's doing good.
Yes, sir, yes.
You had about 400 people running for the seat. I've endorsed Clay,
I know you have.
and I hear great things about him. I've heard really good. So, are you all for Clay?
Yes!
Candidates, right? But I hear you're doing great.
Thank you, sir. We're going to win. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Our mom and dad are here, too.
Come on, Mom. Get over here.
Mom and dad, come on.
Come on, Mom. Come on.
Mom and dad. Come on, this is Mom.
Much younger. How are you? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. You're always doing a good job.
Thank you.
We're up here to endorse it, make sure everything is good. And we also have a really great lieutenant governor, you know that?
Yes. Right.
We're all for Bert, right? Bert's doing a good job. But he's here someplace.
I'm right here. I'm right
Where's our quarterback? Get over here. NFL prospect?
Yeah.
Well, nowadays he doesn't have to be. He can stay in college. Not a bad, doing a good business right now. And you know who we have here? Kelly Loeffler, small business. Brian Jack, one of the greatest and popular. Come on, Brian, get over here, Brian. We have, are you even getting there with my chief of staff? Your father was Pat Summerall, not bad. You wouldn't know Pat Summerall. He was pretty good, right?
Yeah, he's great.
Anyway, good. Well, let's get on to it. What am I doing? Am I doing an interview here with some wonderful sportscaster that I hear great things about? Who the hell? Do you think Biden would do this? I don't think so. Think Biden would talk about the NIL? He has no idea what it is. Are you ready? Let's go. Let's go. I'd like to have a little hair and makeup. How about a little hair and makeup?
All right, so that was at this local business in Rome, Georgia. In case you guys don't know what NIL is, that was a fantastic segue. I didn't know President Trump was going to be talking about NIL. NIL means name, image, and likeness. And that is what in college football and even to some extent in high school football, people are getting paid for their name, image, and likeness. Basically, they're able to do sponsorships and they can put their faces and they can do commercials and everything else. So there is really no such thing as an amateur athlete anymore. And I don't really have a problem with that. You go ahead and get that money. If somebody wants to pay you to sell a truck, go ahead and sell that truck. In any event, We are live. We are. Everything seems to be stable at right now. I can't promise everything. Somebody mentioned, Barry, thanks for not quitting. Thank you for recognizing, because I will never quit. I will never quit on any task put before me. I will not quit on President Trump. I will not quit on MAGA. And I'm going to tell you a little bit why. While we're waiting for him, I believe I can get some of this stuff in that I was going to talk to you about earlier. So what I was going to talk to you about earlier is that I feel very comfortable right now saying there's no reason, no way, in my estimation, as of today, February 19th, that the Democrats are actually going to win the midterms. I personally feel at this point they are a party in complete disarray. They are a party with no leader. They are a party adrift on the ocean, and a party that offers nothing to the American people. Nothing. I posted something on X a little while ago, and you guys probably, some of you may have seen it, and I don't even want to show it here because it's so vulgar. The lieutenant governor of Illinois went out today and posted this video, and her campaign slogan is F Trump. That's it. That's the campaign slogan, F Trump. And they actually had 4, 5, or 6 people in the 30-second commercial actually say that word. I won't play it here because I didn't have time to edit it because I was working on trying to get this thing working. And because I was trying to get things working, I didn't have time to put the censorship beeps on everything. But if you want to see it in its entirety, it is right now on my X profile. Literally people from Chicago, I don't know if they were actors, sitting there saying, F Trump, F Trump, F Trump. That's her campaign slogan. She didn't say one thing about how can I help Chicago. She didn't say a single word, how can I help more of you Chicagoans have a safer, more prosperous life. Her campaign slogan and what she's running on is F Trump. Good luck with that. Seriously, especially with what happened today. So let's get into it. I got a short little segment before President Trump gets on. I think you're going to love this.
Is my face straight? Okay. All right, to keep a straight face here. The Bears belong in the city of Chicago. The Chicago Bears belong in the city of Chicago, right? And I've said repeatedly that the door is always open for conversations, and, it's what, Kevin Warren did call me yesterday. We didn't get a chance to connect, and I still firmly believe that their best position is in Chicago, and it's evidence. The evidence is clearly speaking for itself.
They're fans.
Unfortunately for him, the evidence that he thinks that the Bears, the Chicago Bears, should stay in Chicago, the people who own the Chicago Bears don't seem to agree. One of the most renowned, heralded franchises in NFL history. And again, this isn't about football. This is about the libs losing it. The Chicago Bears have decided to say F Chicago instead of F Trump. We are watching an exodus of proportions we've never seen. Yesterday, I talked to you about Palantir and how they just bolted out of Colorado. Well, today, the Chicago Bears are no longer going to be the Chicago Bears. I can't even believe I'm saying that. I cannot believe we're talking today about the Chicago Bears leaving Chicago. They're moving to Indiana. Think about that. Think about that. The Chicago Bears have said, I've had enough of your crap. We've had enough of what goes on here. We're going to go to Indiana. I don't even know how that's going to sound. The Indiana Bears? Who knows? And people woke up to this morning and were freaking out.
It's out there, and people out there, especially people in politics, who say, if you own a team, if you are billionaires pay for the whole damn thing yourself.
Yeah.
That's what Illinois is saying right now to the Chicago Bears. Indiana's like, come on, we'll help you. We'll help you with the roads. We'll help you set up the construction site. We'll mow it on down ourselves, and we'll pay for a significant portion here. The Bears, you cannot fault them for trying. They have exhausted all of their options, which is exhausting as someone who covers a team to ping pong back and forth. They're in Arlington Heights. Wait, they're shifting their focus back to Chicago. No, they're going back to Arlington Heights. Wait, they're going to look at both stadium sites. Now they're focusing on Indiana. It's a circle that we've been going in for 3 years now.
Man.
They need to make some damn progress, and this is the biggest step that they have had in that department to potentially leaving not only Soldier Field, but leaving the state.
So as you see, as I've got written down there, losing the midterms, how are we supposed to lose the midterms? They can't even hold on to businesses in their own cities. The freaking Chicago Bears, who have never been known by any other name than the Chicago Bears, are leaving Chicago. Not just Chicago, they're leaving Illinois completely. J.B. Pritzker, how can you just walk out there and be talking all this trash about Trump, and you can't even keep the arguably the oldest, the best, well-known. I mean, George Halas started and was a part of founding the NFL. And so that's what I'm saying here. It's time to ignore the panicins and black pillars and understand for sure that we are winning. I've been trying to tell you and say, listen, look at the contrast in the messaging. You can see what is actually happening if you pay attention. And I know many of you may not even give a crap about the NFL. This is not an NFL story. Unless you're a Chicago Bears fan, it might be an NFL story for you. This is a story that people are escaping liberal hellholes en masse. An entire NFL franchise just said, nope. We're out.
Let me ask you this, though. Are the Bears one of these teams that are not liquid enough to pay for it if they could?
Correct. That is what this comes down to. And let's be very honest about this. The McCaskey family does not have the capital.
All right. So while we're waiting for the rally, President Trump is touring a facility. Let me put that on right now. There's really no sound to it, so we're watching him walk through this, I guess it's a steel facility. This facility, I believe it's a steel or some sort of manufacturing facility, and he's touring it now before he gets to the arena. So I'm looking at people at the arena. They're wondering what's going on because they don't know where he is. He's somewhere in the back here touring it, looking at what's going on, all the great steel, American steel. And so there's no real sound, but I'll just let it play, and you guys can comment while you watch President Trump.
So these racks right here are what we want. This is our biggest impact you've had. These racks right here. So we buy all the material raw. All our material comes out of Chattanooga, Tennessee for these. So they roll it, cut it to length for us. We weld it up, paint them, and then we ship them to tire distribution centers. We had gotten our start in the racks business doing tire distribution centers. So an order of these would be about 150 truckloads of racks, 30,000 racks. That totally good. That many racks. 30,000. It takes us about 2 shifts, about 4 to 6 months, depending on what other orders we have. That totally went away around 2015. Our costs were just unbearable.
So this gentleman has a now great company. He was in big trouble 2 years ago, and then I put on the tariffs, and now he's going round the clock, making the racks, making the steel, making everything that he makes. And it's just amazing what's happened, that anybody can be complaining about tariffs. He just said, I'd give you a big hug if the press wasn't out here, because the tariffs have really been a big difference.
It's been a game changer. We were competing with China. They had taken all of it. They were producing racks at $90 a piece. Our cost alone is $150. You've leveled it. The playing field's back.
So when I came in and we did what we had to do to save all these businesses, you went through the roof, right?
We did. Our quotes, our orders, We're so busy now, we don't know what to do. My lead time now on an order is 36 weeks. We were at a point in time with our racks division, we were laying off workers. We were working one shift, 3 days a week, begging for work. Now it's the exact opposite.
He's turning work down.
We're turning work down, which is a position that nobody wants to be in, but it's the reality of what your tariffs have done.
Honestly, you've got thousands of businesses all over the country the same exact thing. We've taken it away. They were ripping us off. Every country in the world was ripping us off. And to think that we have to be before the Supreme Court on a thing like this. Here's a man virtually going out of business, and now he's got a thriving business, hiring people, can't get enough people. And it's all because of tariffs. I had Novartis come in yesterday, a big drug company. They're building 11 factories, 11 drug plants for prescription drugs in the United States. I said, why are you doing that? He said, one reason, tariffs. And we have to be between the Supreme Court with China-centric people suing us, people from China suing us. They're all China-centric, and people from outside of our country, to get rid of tariffs. And it's making our country rich. And it's a disgrace that we even have to talk about this subject. That's like men playing in women's sports. It's like, the tariff is the greatest thing that's happened to this country. We're making a fortune. But more importantly, all of these factories are booming now, and they were all dead. All right. I hope you take it down. I hope you show them that we have to be, seriously, that we have to be before the Supreme Court of the United States to justify tariffs, which are making every one of these businesses thrive. And without them, all these buildings are closed, like they have been before I got here. Thank you very much.
Yes, let's move back. Let's move back.
So I guess he's going to leave there and make his way to the arena, at which point, as soon as that new feed comes up, we will just definitely, turn over to it. He's still in the back of this factory walking around. It's funny when they move the camera around, they look like they're lost, but he's leaving there and must be heading over to the arena. So back to what I was saying, we're talking about the Chicago Bears, not because we're talking about football. We're talking about business. We're talking about libtardery. It's not working. People want to flee from it. So continue listening to these two sportscasters who just can't understand what is happening.
To build this whole thing on their own. We have seen other places like the Minnesota Vikings and what they did, where Kevin Warren came from before the Big Ten as a team president, built that beautiful stadium on the former site of the Metrodome. Lot of things that are not parallel there, because there are a lot of people who are like, well, if he did this in Minnesota, why couldn't he do this in Illinois? Completely different political climates, completely different situation with the stadiums. But there are a lot of owners out there who have more liquid assets, meaning cash.
So this is where the liberal turn is. The liberal turn is, you got the money, you should spend it and build it yourself. You shouldn't be asking the city and state for more money. Well, you know how much money an NFL team brings into the state? Because that's the ideology that is killing business with the libtards. They expect people to continue, tax you, make it more expensive for you to do business, and then they're surprised as hell when people are like, you know what? I've got a better opportunity. I think we're done with you people telling us what we want to do. We want to dance with somebody who wants to dance with us. And so Mike Braun, who's the governor of Indiana, said this: Indiana is open for business, and our pro-growth environment continues to attract major opportunities like the partnership with the Chicago Bears. We've identified a promising site near Wolf Lake and Hammond and established a broad framework for negotiating the final deal. If approved, the proposed amendment to Senate Bill 27 puts forward the essential framework to complete this agreement, contingent upon the site due diligence proceeding smoothly. The state of Indiana moves at the speed of business, and we've demonstrated that through our quick coordination between state agencies, local government, and the legislature to set the stage for a huge win for all Hoosiers. We have built a strong relationship with the Bears organization that will serve as the foundation for a public-private partnership leading to the construction of a world-class stadium and a win for the taxpayers. What does that mean? That means we're going to give you the site. We're going to basically do the leasehold improvements. We're going to build it. We'll do a tax or some sort of bond referendum. We'll get all this done, and then you guys can play your games here and say goodbye to Chicago. In the safety and in the profitable, the prosperity that you will find, not in Chicago, where you got to wonder if you got to run to your car after the game or if your car's even going to be there, but the safety of a red state, Indiana. There's no way we're losing the midterms. If you just watch what's actually happening, we're not. We can't. People are fleeing from the policies of and you saw Brandon Johnson. You got my face. I look good. The Bears are supposed to be in Chicago. Guess what? You can't make me.
Able to fund these stadium sites. And the Bears just don't have that. They've committed $2 billion, which is a lot, but they need more.
Okay.
And that's where things land.
That part of it I wasn't sure that I understood. I can't visualize a world. I'm not from Chicago. I don't live in Chicago. I never have lived in Chicago. But I can't visualize a world in which the identity of the Bears doesn't involve Soldier Field.
Yeah.
You know?
Get used to it. Get used to it a lot. Who knows? You may see the New York Rangers. Bye, New York. God forbid you see the New York Yankees. Bye, New York. They won't. If what Mandami is doing, and if he's successful in destroying that city, nobody is going to want to go to the games. None of the players are going to want to play in New York. You're going to tax me into oblivion? It can't work. And now with a storied franchise like the Chicago Bears looking at this and saying, we're done. If the Bears can move, why not the Yankees? Why not the Red Sox? It is mind-blowing right now when you sit back and think about it. And again, I'll stress it one more time. This isn't about football. This is about big business that attracts tens and hundreds and thousands of people saying, nope, sorry, we're out. And if they were so happy with what Pritzker and Brandon Johnson were doing in Chicago, they wouldn't be leaving. Palantir wouldn't have been leaving. And I got more to show you.
But what I really want to tell you, and why I really didn't give reports on this weekend or on this Super Bowl, and I didn't want to say it while I was in the midst of it, I wanted to wait till it was over. Honestly, locker room. This was a horrible Super Bowl.
This is Hall of Famer, former wide receiver for the Miami Hurricanes and wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, Fox Network host. San Francisco sucks. We don't even need to be here. Don't do this anymore to us. We do not want to go to games in San Francisco. Can you imagine it? You've got the NFL and you've got former NFL players, prominent NFL players going, this sucks. We don't even want to come here for games. Mm-hmm.
They should never, ever bring the Super Bowl back to San Francisco. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Nobody wants what San Francisco is selling. I feel bad for the players who are stuck there in contracts. You got to walk around and you got to deal with everything that Gavin Newsom has done. You got to get taxed out to wazoo. You got people pooping on the street. You got people who don't want to go out at night. And you expect people to like it. Just love what's going on.
I'm sorry. The city, this was, in all the years of going to a Super Bowl, this was the worst. This seems so like blah. It was blah in the city. You know what I mean? It just went jumping, like you see in Super Bowls jumping. It was blah. The people blah blah. The buildings out here looks blah. You know, when you go and you're going to events, it's like blah. I'm thinking it should be so much money out here because the tech is out here, right? But it all looks so blah. Blah.
All right, so we'll come back to it. I'll finish my story because you know who is taking the stage.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. It's great to see a vibrant place like this. As you know, about a year and a half ago, it wasn't so vibrant. I'm looking at all this brand new steel and equipment that just went up because of our tariffs, because of our president, but because of our tariffs. And I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of Georgia with the men and women of an incredible American company, the Coosa Steel Corporation. For more than 50 years, the hardworking Americans at Coosa Steel have poured out their sweat and blood and tears to turn into what, look, you wanted to take raw material and you wanted to take beautiful metal and you wanted to turn it into the highest quality steel racks and plates in the business, all stamped with those really beautiful words. You don't see it too much, but now you do again, made in the USA. Right? And this company prospered and grew from humble beginnings in a Georgia manufacturing. What happened is you became, in a very short while, a Georgia manufacturing giant. But then you watch your core business start to fade. I just spoke to your great owner, and he's great, but he got hit by stupid politicians, basically, making specialized steel tire racks dwindle from 2 bustling shifts to 6 days a week down to 1 shift and 1 hour. 1 hour a week. Then you went back up to 2 days, then you went back to 3 days, then you went back to 1 day, then you went down to 1 hour. Because all the business was going to China and other countries from outside. And it wasn't only here, it was other plants also. I assume your friends, likewise, were having the same problem. Your jobs were being stolen as foreign nations dumped their subsidized products. Don't forget China and these other countries, they pay for it. It's all subsidized. You don't get too much subsidy. But they dropped the subsidized products on our market to try and put Americans out of business, and that's what they were doing. You're lucky you have a man that is so proud of this place. He kept it going, barely kept it going. It wasn't easy. You're a lucky guy. But now, thanks to the fact that we got elected on November 5th, and thanks to what I call the Trump tariffs, business at Coosa Steel is booming again. We just spoke, it's booming. And in October, you received your first large order for tire racks since 2014. It was a big, massive order. In fact, this great man right here thought that they made a mistake. He said it can't be possible. No, it's called tariffs. I said, my favorite word in the whole dictionary is tariff, and I got in trouble with, look at all the fake news back there. Look at them. I got in trouble. No, I got in trouble with them because I said, tariff is my favorite word in the whole dictionary. They said, what about family? What about God? What about wife, children? I said, all right, it's my 5th favorite word. Now I'm okay. They've treated me okay since I did that. They didn't like it when, but it's my 5th favorite word in the dictionary. You're back to producing at full speed, 2 shifts a day, and he's going to 3 shifts a day, 6 days a week. And you've got a backlog now that's 7 months long. What a difference. From a couple of hours a week to 7 months long. And it's all because you finally have a president who put America first. That's what it is. But it's also because I imposed powerful 50% tariffs on foreign steel where they were coming in and dumping crap all over our country. I ended every one of the Biden-era exemptions, and on August 18th, I added new tariffs to cover 400 derivative products, including steel racks, which is what you make. So I say congratulations, and what a great comeback. This is a comeback that 2 years ago, right, you were almost, I don't want to say out of business, but you were almost out of business. I guess he said you can say it. You were close. He was borderline. Started telling his wife, let's have tuna fish tonight, darling. Forget about the steak. But stories like this companies are right now playing out in cities all around the country, towns, villages, all over the country. And to think I have to be in the United States Supreme Court for many, many months waiting for a decision on tariffs. Without tariffs, this country would be in such trouble right now. Without tariffs, this country would be like your company was 2 years ago. What a difference it made. And you know who brought the cases against us? People that are China-oriented, people that have business in China that want to rip us off and keep ripping us off, and the tariffs had stopped us. And not only China, other countries too. People from other countries like Canada and others, they sue us. Canada has ripped us off for years. Not anymore, they're not. And I'm waiting for a decision from the Supreme Court. Can you imagine? We have to wait. I mean, I just heard the story today, and I've told it 1,000 times. I don't think I've ever heard it any better. I even took him back to the fake news where he related the story, that he was in serious trouble. There was no business. There was no business anywhere. How was this place 2 or 3 years ago? It was not just here, the whole area. It was a disaster. And now it's vibrant. And we have to justify this because people come from other countries because they ripped us off for 50 years. And now we're doing the same thing to them. And we're being very modest about it. Right, Howard? We're being very modest about it. We could go a lot further if I want to. Because what they've done to us, other countries, what they've done, they almost put us out of business. And I'll tell you, if I didn't win this election, and if you had a moron like Kamala or a moron like Sleepy Joe Biden, if you had these people back, our country would have been finished. We wouldn't have had a country. So just yesterday, I was visited by the CEO of the drug company, Novartis, and his name is Baz, first name, great guy. And he came into the White House to see our great chief of staff, who happens to be with us. Where's Susie? Susie's with us someplace. She is great. First female chief of staff and the best chief of staff. And she wanted to bring him in. It's a big, very big company, all based outside of this country. And she wanted to bring him in, so I said, come on. So I said, hello, how are you doing? How's it going? Sir, I'm building 11 plants in the United States. I said, that's a lot. How many do you have? None. But we're moving almost all our business into the United States. And I said, why are you doing that? Tariffs. Tariffs! Can you believe it? He said, tariffs. And I got to be before a court. Can you believe it? This is like men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody. I have a new one to add, voter ID. The Democrats don't want to give us voter ID because they want to cheat. The only way they can cheat is if they, look, we can stop them so easy. You know what they say? We don't want voter ID because it's racist. Okay? That's a good one. It's racist, no. I'll tell you what, when they look at the polls, 95% of the people want voter ID. Then you have proof of citizenship. So we want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship. For you to vote, let's prove that you're an American. So please, proof of citizenship. They're fighting that. They're fighting that. And then we don't want to have mail-in ballots where they're mailed in from all parts of the place. Mail-in ballots are crooked as hell. We're the only country in the world that use this type of mail-in ballot, the only country in the world. I'll tell you what, Republicans have to win this one. We'll never lose a race. For 50 years, we won't lose a race. We want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship. And we don't want mail-in ballots except for the military far away, except for people that are ill, disabled, or people that are away. Even for a vacation, we'll be generous, okay? Other than that, we don't want mail-in ballots because mail-in ballots, they cheat. Without tariffs, what would you do? You know what? Everybody would be bankrupt, everybody. The whole country would be bankrupt. And I have to wait for this decision. I've been waiting forever. And the language is clear that I have the right to do it as president. I have the right to put tariffs on for national security purposes, countries that have been ripping us off for years. You know what they were doing? Using tariffs. What a country. So sad. So just 1 year ago, under crooked Joe Biden, and he was crooked as hell, our country was dead. Now we have the hottest country. In 1 year, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, right, Kelly? Remember when I used to say, Fuller sort of reminded me, I listened to your speech, very good. I'm endorsing that man, by the way, very strongly. I actually listened to your speech back there, and you said, you remember when the president used to tell the story about getting tired of winning? You reminded me, I haven't told that story in a long time. You're going to be so tired of winning, you're going to be exhausted, you're going to get tired of winning. Remember I say, your governor or Kelly Loeffler, somebody's going to come up and say, President, please, we're winning too much. We're not used to it. George is not used to it. We can't take it anymore. People are working too hard. They're making too much money. Please. We don't want to win anymore, sir. It's too much. I said, nope. We're going to keep on winning. The people of Georgia want to win. I'm sorry, Kelly. The people of Georgia want to win. Last week it was announced that the United States added 172,000 jobs in the private sector. We reduced if I wanted to have really great job numbers, don't do any cutting in the public sector. I cut off 400,000 jobs in the public sector, and then I add many more than that in the private sector. And those public sector people that got cut, they hated me and now they love me because they've all gone out and gotten much better paying jobs in the private sector, working right here for you. But we've created more than 5,000 manufacturing jobs in Georgia alone. And we've had a very good relationship with Georgia. And as factory construction gets underway, we've created 70,000 new construction jobs right here, 70,000. And you know what they're building? Factories like this. I said to that brilliant person right there, I see the yellow steel. You know what that is? That's a crane, brand new. I said, how long has that been here? He said, about 2 months. He said, tariffs brought it here, sir. Your policy brought it here. So today, more Americans in the prime of their life are part of a labor force than at any time since 2001, and then you could go back another 25 years from that. And more Americans are working today than at any time in the history of our country. Think of that statement. Any time in the history of our country, there are more Americans working today. In 4 years, Sleepy Joe Biden got less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. So in 4 years, he got a lot less than $1 trillion. But with our pro-American economic growth and the use of tariffs, we've already secured commitments for over $18 trillion. So think of this. In 11 months, because we haven't even gotten to last month, in 11 months, we have $18 trillion worth of investment coming into this country. And here's an example of it. Nice family, by the way. That's better looking than your crane. I like the family better than the crane. Very good. But a good family. The stock market has set 53 all-time record highs since the election. 53, think of that. 53 days it was at an all-time record, adding $9 trillion in value. But you got to go back for a second. So we do over 18 trillion in 11 months, and Sleepy Joe, for 4 years, did much less than $1 trillion. Think of that. This country would have been dead. Adding $9 trillion in value to your savings. I added $9 trillion, and your retirement accounts and 401ks are at the highest level they've ever been. And then I have to listen to the fake news talking about affordability. Affordability. Do you notice? What word have you not heard over the last 2 weeks? Affordability. Because I've won. I've won affordability. I had to go out and talk about it. But we inherited a mess. We inherited the worst inflation in history, but I'd like to correct it because it's actually, the fake news corrected me. He exaggerated. He said it was the worst inflation in history, and it's only 48 years. So I apologize for that, Kelly. I apologize. So it's the worst inflation in 48. Actually, I think they're wrong. I think it is actually in history. We had the worst inflation in history under Sleepy Joe Biden. He was sleeping while you were working. No, he was sleeping while you were trying to get a job. You weren't working. And now we have the most people working in history. And just recently we crossed 2 milestones. They thought it was totally impossible when the S&P hit 7,000 points and Dow Jones surged past 50,000. Again, I was supposed to do that within 4 years. They said he's got a small possibility. I don't know how many of you people watch the stock market, but if the stock market's good, that's good for everybody. That's good for you, good for everybody. But the stock market hit over 50,000 for the first time in history. They said maybe he might be. This is right after my election in November. They said, you know, Trump's a great businessman. He might be able to get 50,000 by the time his term finishes. No, we did it, Howard, in 1 year. 1 year. Under the last administration, every economic policy punished American workers and businesses like this one while rewarding those who outsource to foreign nations. Under the Trump administration, our policy is the exact opposite, making it harder to outsource while rewarding those who invest, hire, grow, and build right here in the USA. We don't have countries coming in and stealing our businesses anymore. They were coming in for many years. I had it stopped in my first term. We had a great first term. We had the greatest economic numbers we've ever had until now. But this term, I will say, it's blowing my first term away. We've slashed a record number of job-killing regulations, cutting 129 old regulations for every one new regulation approved. Think of that. So we approve one, and we cut 129. And what that means is jobs. That's all it means. We ended the radical left war in American energy. Now oil production is up by more than 600,000 barrels a day, and natural gas production is at an all-time high. Plus, we have a great relationship with a country named Venezuela. You've heard about Venezuela? And we're helping them very much with their oil. They get a lot of oil, we do too, but we're helping them a lot. We took 50 million barrels of oil is right now floating very nicely in extremely large ships to Houston, where it's processed. And it's going to be great for Venezuela. The president's doing an excellent job, getting along great. But that was a very strong attack, would you say? It was a very strong attack. That wasn't like Jimmy Carter. That wasn't like Sleepy Joe Biden in Afghanistan, where he had no idea, had no clue what he was doing. Take the equipment. You know, I was getting out of Afghanistan. We were going to get out with dignity, strength. They feared us, but we shouldn't have been there, frankly. But we were getting out with dignity and strength, taking all the equipment. He left the equipment. They said, leave everything. Let's go. I said, what do you mean? You're leaving a $150 million airplane? And one of the generals told me, that's when I knew he was a stupid general, Milley. Sir, it's better to leave the plane. I think it's cost efficient. You're going to leave a $150 million plane because you don't want to fill it up with a tank of gas? These people were so stupid. But now we have General Raisin Cane. He's a little different. A little different. He's a little different. I was told by my first admin, I had these generals, you know, what the hell, I never did it before, so I picked a couple of losers. But the first ones, they told me, sir, it'll take 4 years to defeat ISIS. And I said, how could it take 4 years? We have the best equipment in the world. Why? And I rebuilt the military my first time. I said, why would it take 4 years? They said, well, I would. So I decided to go to Iraq, and I flew to Iraq. I was extremely brave. In fact, so brave I wanted to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor. I said to my people, am I allowed to give myself the Congressional Medal of Honor? And you know, I've given out so many to guys that are seriously brave. I mean, they come in with the arms are missing, the legs are missing. The stories are so unbelievable. And I said, no, it's a little stretch if I gave myself one of them. But it's one of those things. Someday I'm going to try. I'm going to test the law. Brandon, I'm going to say, let's give it a shot. Maybe I'll win in court after everyone sues me, after radical left lunatics sue me. Now watch. The fake news, you know I'm having fun. The fake news will say, Donald Trump wants to give himself the Congressional Medal of Honor. But he was rebuffed by the audience, who stood up and booed the hell out of him. No, they say that kind of stuff. It's amazing. They say, if I'm sarcastic, even a little bit, they make it sound. You know, I said one thing the other day, a little while ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. I said, I don't think I'm going to make it to heaven in front of a massive group of people, 56,000 people. And they were all saying, oh, what does he mean? I don't think I'm going to make it to heaven. I'm doing a great job for a lot of people, but I don't think so. I'm just not worthy of heaven. I'm not going to make it. And I was having a good time going, you know, I was having fun. I hope to make it. But I doubt I will, to be honest with you. A lot of you will. I'm not so sure. But I was having fun. The New York Times has a front page story. Donald Trump is now questioning his mortality. They made it like I was totally. So you can't joke. It doesn't work. Kelly Loeffler here, small business meaning big business. She's in charge of, she's a Georgia peach. She's a great one. But she's in charge of all of the small business loans. It's called the Small Business Administration. When you add it up, it's the biggest bank in the world or something, right? But she's done a fantastic job. Thanks, Kelly. To help businesses like this one expand production in the United States, we provided 100% expensing and bonus depreciation for all new equipment and capital investments, like that crane that you see back there. And it's all part of the Great Big Beautiful Bill. The Great Big Beautiful Bill is basically a tax cut bill. And you know, when you hear the fake Democrats talking about it, like, oh, the Great Big Beautiful Bill, you know, they try and mock it. We put 4 years worth of goodies into that bill, and everybody said it couldn't be done. You'd have to go into 17 different bills. It's all in that one, and that is cut after cut. It's basically tax cut and business expansion. It's one of the greatest bills ever passed. Remember that when you hear these phony guys like Hakeem, our low IQ, I guess, I mean, he's a pretty low IQ individual. But I hear him talking about no tax on tips doesn't matter. No tax on overtime matters. No tax on Social Security for our 1.8 million Georgia seniors matter. Who's a senior in this room? I refuse to raise my hand. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm a senior. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. But think of it. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime for the people working there. How incredible. And for our seniors like me, no tax on Social Security. And watch what happens. They will now say, because I just gave them an idea, that Donald Trump passed the no tax on Social Security so that he could save $1,000. Oh, they're going to find me at conflict. They're going to say, Donald Trump has a conflict. I'll pay it, okay? You know what? I don't even talk about this much. I get no credit for it. So as president, I make $2 million over 4 years, $2.5 million. I waived it. I'm the only president that ever waived it. And they never, ever talk about it. But every week, some of the scum from the New York Times will call, did he waive it? And if my secretary would say, yes, he did. If I ever said, no, he didn't, it would be a headline scandal. But you know that in the history of our country, and this surprised me because we've had wealthy presidents before, in the history of our country, there's never been a president that waived his salary. I'm the only schmuck. I get no credit for it. You know what? I get no credit for it. Nobody ever writes about it. It's the first time. We have a couple of front row Joes here. They've been to like 400 rallies. Thank you very much. Have you ever heard me even talking about it? I never talk about it. They've heard me talking about everything, but I don't talk about it. But I just did today because somebody said, you know, nobody's ever written the story about you waiving your salary. You know, it's still a couple of $1 million. It's like, not peanuts. It's estimated that these policies will help raise income in this state by $7,000 in the coming year, every year. Boost household take-home pay by over $10,000 and protect more than 200,000 Georgia jobs. It's amazing. No one knows the importance of tax cuts and fair trade. More than businesses like this one. So now I'd like to ask the president of Coosa Steel, Andrew Seville, very nice name, to come up and say a few words. I'd like to say, because I'm telling you, I met this guy, and he said something that his wife is going to be extremely upset. I said, how are you doing? He said, President, if I didn't have all these cameras running, I would grab you and start kissing you violently. And I said, why is that? He said, because what you've done for us economically in this state, in this town, with the tariffs in particular. So I want to just introduce Andrew. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Coosa Steel. My name's Andrew Seville, as he said. I joined here in 2001 with my dad after I graduated from the University of Alabama. I've got to say roll tide. I've got to. My dad bought this company in 1985. We began to diversify, add all American-made equipment. Everything you see here, American-made. We have all American-made steel. That's all we keep. In all of those warehouses, all of it American-made. So we saw the tire rack industry really dropping off around 2010, and it was tough on our racks department. It was tough on these guys you see down front, these people that are used to this heat. I'm sorry if some of y'all aren't, but this is nothing to them. But the tire rack industry was going to China. There were no tariffs. They were bringing them in, and they were decimating the tire rack business in America. Your first term, we saw some things come back, just a little bit here and there. The second term, about July, the quotes, the orders, I couldn't keep up. They were coming nonstop. In October of 2025, we landed our first huge tire rack deal that we had in 10 years. This is going to keep our racks department busy for 2 shifts a day, 6 days a week, and we're pumping them out as fast as we can go, and they're all going to Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, right in America. Mr. President, what you've done for these guys down front, what you've done for our entire economy, what you've done for all of America, couldn't be done without your favorite word, tariffs. You did it. You're making America great again. You're making all these guys more in their wages, and we couldn't be more than happy to call you Mr. President.
Wow, good man. And, you know, I say the car industry is coming back. The plants from Canada, they took a lot of our car business. That was a good job. You know, that's what he just said, you know, I had a speech to write, but I wanted to go from the heart. That's what you did, and much better. That's much better than reading a speech. But our car industry is coming back like nobody's ever seen. It's all coming. They stole it. 52% of our car industry over the last 30 years went to Germany, Japan, Mexico, Canada, all coming back. We're building plants all over the country. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. All because of, look, it's because of, I guess, November 5th, the election and all, but it's because of the election I did the tariffs. Nobody else would have done it because nobody else had the guts to do it. And a great economist came in yesterday and said, sir, you did something that nobody has ever done. Nobody. 22 Nobel Prize laureates on economics oppose you on your theories on manufacturing and other things, on the economy. And you were on one side and they were all on the other side. They said we'd be in a recession. And you were right. This is the boom like he's never seen before. And even crime is way down. Crime is at the lowest level in 125 years, before my father was born. But he said, what you've done is amazing. You had 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics, and you were the exact opposite of every one of them. And they admitted now, every one of them admitted, but I had Howard on my side, a great Secretary of Commerce, and I had Kelly on my side, and I have Fuller on my side. I know that I got my Fuller. You better win that election. And I had the Lieutenant Governor of this state on my side, Burt Jones. Burt Jones, you know, all these guys are coming in now, loaded up with some money. Who the hell knows how much money he's got? But Burt Jones has been here and been with you and been with me right from the beginning. He's been with me for so long, right from literally the first day. And Brandon, you've been so incredible. Secretary of the Treasury, that's pretty good. You've come a long way. He's a very successful state senator with me all the way. These guys are with me all the way. I'm going to introduce them in a second. Another Georgian whose workers will benefit from our tax cuts is Kirk Cowan. Kirk owns the GMC Value Mart, a family business and a fixture of this community since 1971 with 100% expensing. A lot of people don't know what that means, but basically, you'd be able to deduct over a 40-year period. We're letting you deduct your expenditure over 1 year. That crane is deducted, probably knowing him, I think the crane is deducted before you even took shipment. But no, you're allowed to do it. 1 year expensing, it's a big, big thing. It's why we had so many, it's why we were so successful in the first term. And now we even expanded it and we made it 10 years. In other words, it's good for 10 years. With 100% expensing, bonus depreciation, and no tax on the overtime. And Kirk says that the tax cuts are helping him keep the store up and running, and it's doing better than it's ever done before. So, Kirk, could you come on up for a second, please? Kirk? Come on up, Kirk. Good-looking guy. Come on.
Good afternoon, Rome, Georgia. My name is Kurt Cowan, and my family and I are proud to call this community home. I'm the owner of GMC Value Mart, a family-owned pharmacy and grocery combo my parents started back in 1971. If you've ever shopped at GMC, you know we're not a big chain supermarket. We have fresh meats cut in-house. We know our customers by name, and we work hard every day to keep prices fair for families. But running a small business isn't easy. Between fluctuating food costs, regulations, and pharmacy reimbursement rates that don't always reflect what we pay, it can feel like the deck is stacked against you. That's why policies that support small businesses really matter. Under President Trump's leadership, Section 179 limits have increased, and permanent 100% bonus depreciation incentives make a huge difference. They allow us to reinvest in equipment, which doesn't just help owners, It helps keep prices down, keep people employed, and keep serving our neighbors. For us, that means upgrading our pharmacy to stay competitive and continuing to support local schools and community events. It means GMC Value Mart can stay right where it belongs, right here in Rome, Georgia. I'm grateful to have a president who understands small businesses are the backbone of a town like ours. Thank you, Mr. President, for standing with local businesses. It truly keeps places like ours alive. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk. Good job. Really good job. You think it's easy for these guys to get up and do that? It ain't easy. It's not easy, and that was really a couple of great jobs. Another key part of our tax bill is Trump accounts. That's a big thing. These are the tax-free investment accounts for every American child, starting with $1,000 for every newborn baby. Every newborn baby. I also want to thank Michael and Susan Dell. Dell, go out and buy a Dell computer, because they don't care about that. They care about this. They make a great product. They're not looking for any publicity. I give them publicity. They say, well, thank you very much, but it's okay. They put up $6.25 billion. He started making computers on his bed. All of a sudden, he's got Dell. But he's a phenomenal person. She's a phenomenal woman. And they fund the accounts, and we're going to have funded 25 million children. So when they get to be 18 or 21, like these young, beautiful kids up front, they'll end up with a potentially really good nest egg, depending on, where the economy goes a little bit. But they could be quite rich. And they start with $1,000. And a lot of people now are putting tremendous amounts, because you're allowed to come in and put your money into those accounts. And a lot of people doing it actually way over what we thought would be. It's been tremendous. I want to thank Michael and Susan. Joining us today is Bree Thomas, a local women's clothing boutique owner, along with her husband, Austin, their newborn son, AJ. Bree and Austin are very excited to launch AJ's Trump account with millions of dollars. Think of this, millions and millions of dollars being put into these various accounts. But on July 4th of this year, think of it, all you have to do is go to the TrumpAccounts.gov. Go to TrumpAccounts.gov. People are putting in money, and the people themselves are putting. Millions of Americans will benefit from these pro-job, pro-worker, pro-child policies. But Georgia's Senator Jon Ossoff and every Democrat in Congress voted against them. He voted, Jon Ossoff. I competed with him numerous times. He ran against a woman, I think her name was Karen Handel, and he was leading her, and they called for help. I came down and helped, and she won. That was his first experience with me, and then I never heard from her again. I think she said thank you, but she ran another race a couple of years later. She didn't win. She never asked me for help. That was a mistake. But she won. And then Ossoff somehow got involved in the Senate race. I said, no, he's easy to beat. He's a real stiff. Real stiff. You know what a stiff is? He's a real stiff. We don't want people like that representing Georgia. Who would think that Georgia has a stiff? Anyway, and with us today are some of the amazing warriors who, unlike Ossoff, have stood up for the people of Georgia, including Congressman Brian Jack, Mike Collins, and Barry Loudermilk. You guys out? Come up, fellas. Come up. I gotta get these guys up. These are great people. Come on up. Proud of everything. They're warriors. But Loudermilk is going to take it easy now. I can't believe it. She's leaving. I can't believe it. We want him to stay. Say hello, fellas. Come on, Barry.
Mr. President, as I was sitting out there and I was looking back here at the crane, you remember first term we were all on the Trump train. I think we ought to have a Trump crane right here, right? See, Trump cranes all over manufacturing plants in the United States. Look, the greatest honor that I've ever had serving the people of Georgia is to work with this fine gentleman right here. Yeah, he called me back in Memorial Day weekend. I got a call from the White House and said, the president would like to come meet with you in the Oval Office on June the 1st. So I headed up to D.C. and I got over to the office early, and when I walked in, we got a picture made, and we were talking about something pretty important, about the investigation of January 6th. But after we talked about that, the conversation changed, and he started telling me about this golden era of America. And when I got back to the office, the staff asked, how did the meeting go? And I couldn't stop talking about the golden era of America. I said, we're going to return to that time in America that we all heard about, but our children have never experienced. And we are seeing that come to fruition right now because of your leadership. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, it is good to be back in Rome, Georgia. Do we have anybody here from Georgia's 3rd Congressional District? So that's my district, Mr. President, and the last time you and I shared a stage was in Rome, Georgia, 2 years ago when you endorsed me for Congress. It is special to welcome you back here. We're celebrating today passage of the Working Families Tax Cut, and as the President brought folks on stage, it is abundantly clear those tax cuts are working here in Georgia, they're working across the country, and they're going to help us win in 2026. I have the privilege of representing a district whose father represented behind me. Mike Collins' father, Matt Collins, represented my district for 12 years, and he is running to replace John Ossoff. So with that, I introduce Mike Collins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Boy, that tie looks sharp on you. You look good. Thank you. What's up, Rome, Georgia? I want y'all to know something. It is a true honor and privilege to serve you in Congress and represent Georgia's 10th district. But I want to say one more thing. It is probably the greatest time in the history of this country to be a member of Congress because we've got true leadership and the guidance of President Donald J. Trump. And I want you to know a couple of things. Now, we need to grow our majority in the House so that we can continue with an America First agenda. But folks, we got to make sure that we put the right Republicans in to help us to get this job done. And Clay Fuller, you're going to help us do that. I'm going to leave you with one last thing. Go vote. You have got to get out and vote. You get out and vote. You help us grow this majority. You help us out in November. I'm going to kick Ossoff out of the state's U.S. Senate. We're going to restore Georgia values out in that Senate. And y'all, we're going to continue to take our country back. Thank you.
I'll tell you, Loudermilk, I said, you were the one that they caught giving a tour of Congress to a couple of kids and a mother and a father, and they said that they were communists. They were actually constituents from Georgia. And it angered him so much that he became a wild man, and he was very effective. And I always say, I said, they picked on the wrong guy. Here's the guy shows up with a couple of really nice country, beautiful people with their 2 kids. He's showing them the Capitol. And they said, he's showing them classified information. He's showing them. The people didn't even know nobody knew what they were talking about. These people are sick. But I want to tell you, Loudermilk, that was very cool. You didn't take it easily. A lot of Republicans are nice. The Republicans are too nice. And they just sort of would listen and they won't comment. Barry decided to comment, to put it mildly. You made them go through hell. I want to just tell you, you've had a hell of a career. And I hear you're not running, and we're going to have somebody very good. You know that? But you are fantastic and did a great job. Thank you very much, Barry. Thank you. Great. Very proud of you. I also want to thank Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who's got more good ideas. He's a very, very successful guy. Thank you, Howard. Howard Lutnick. We have some big things happening. And I introduced you already to SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler, who's an unbelievable woman doing an unbelievable job. Never lets you down. Treasurer of the United States of America, Brandon Beach. He is a winner and a friend. And he's another one. I didn't know him, but I kept hearing these wonderful things about a guy named Brandon Beach, and he was fighting for us. By the way, did you see? They raided the Fulton County place, storage house. And now the Democrats have hired a massive team of lawyers. They have the ballots. That should be no problem, right? They have the ballots. FBI came in and raided. They found plenty of stuff. And now they have the ballots. And the Democrats are fighting like hell, and I think it goes before a judge tomorrow, to not let anybody see the ballots. Why don't they want them to see the ballots after all these years? You know why they don't want? Because they cheated, that's why. They sent top lawyers down from New York to fight it. And I think it goes before a judge tomorrow sometime. They don't want them to see the ballot. They've taken the ballots. They have them now. After years, they got an order from the court, signed order from a very respected judge, and now they're trying to stop anybody from looking. You know why? Because they cheated like dogs. Agriculture Commissioner from Georgia, Tyler Harper. Tyler, thank you. Nice hat. Nice hat. State Senator-elect Stephen McNeil, a great guy. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Great guy. State Representative Katie Dempsey. Thank you. Katie, great job, Katie. Thank you. Georgia legend, Ambassador, well, let me tell you, he may be, because you know, Burt Jones was a really good football player. And we have Gunnar Stockton here today, and he's really good. He's really good. But even Gunnar would admit that it's going to be tough to beat the legend of Herschel Walker. Do you agree, Gunnar? Come on. Because, you know, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones was a great football player too, but he said, I heard you were great, Burt, but you were not Herschel. Hey, Herschel, come on up with Gunnar. Bring Gunnar up here. Come on. Gunnar has been a fan. I heard about this great quarterback for Georgia, young guy, handsome guy. We don't like handsome guys. I don't like being around them. I don't want anything to do with handsome people. But Gunnar is a big star and a really talented quarterback. But I heard, much more importantly, he's a Trump fan. So he was standing at the plane. And anybody that likes me, I like them. But I hear he's got a fantastic future. Gunnar and Herschel, say a few words, please.
Oh, this is a great opportunity just to meet a president and Donald Trump. It's an awesome experience, and I'm just glad to be here.
God is good. Promises made, promises kept. This is a president right here that's going to go down in history as one of the greatest presidents the United States has ever had. Is standing before you right now is President Donald J. Trump, because what he's done, he's given his blood, sweat, and tears for the United States of America. So we got to get out and vote and do the same thing, because if we do not do that, we will lose this country, because men shouldn't be in women's sports. I can know what a woman is. I know that guys should not ever be in women's sports. I know that we should always respect the law because it's written in the Bible, and we got to get back to what things are and make it simple. Make it simple and make it easy. This is the president to do it. Get out and vote, vote, vote. Vote the correct way, because we want to save America. Thank you, President Trump. I love you. I told him I will always fight for him. I've known him since 1983, and I tell you what, he's the same man in 83 that he is right now, and I love him to death. Thank you, President.
I'm looking at these two guys. They're like steel. I'm hitting them in the shoulders, and it's like my hand isn't the same. They're like steel. Any women would like to tackle these two guys, please? I don't know. This whole thing with men and women's sports is not working out too well. What a joke. But we added the new one. I'm telling you, we have a couple of new ones coming up. It's it's all about common sense. I also want to call up an incredible leader and a friend of mine for a long time, and I just want to let you know, a lot of people running. This man has my complete and total endorsement. It's not like, oh, gee, let me think about it. Burt Jones has been an incredible leader. He's been an incredible politician. He was a really great football player, but he has just been solid as a rock, and he loves this state so much, and I really want to see him win. People are coming in with lots of money and lots of everything else, but Burt has, number one, he has my endorsement. Number two, he has the greatest career. He has been really, really good at what he does. I think Brandon would agree with that. Everybody would agree with that. Burt's been very special. So, and I know Burt's father, Bill, is around someplace. Where's Burt's father? Bill is so great. You know, Bill was a big shot in this, but Burt's going to take it to another level, right? That's what we want. That's what his father wants to. Burt, come up for a second, please.
Well, needless to say, is he not the finest president that we've ever had in our lifetime? And I appreciate the compliment, Mr. President, but I can promise you I don't even sit in the same room with Gunnar Stockton and Herschel Walker in my playing days. In fact, I asked Gunnar Stockton, how many SEC championship rings do you have? He said, maybe 3, 4, something like that. I was like, we only got one when I played, you know, and that shows you how he's a great football player, but he's an even better young man. So I just really appreciate being with him today. But I want to tell you this real quick. The reason why I've supported Donald J. Trump since 2016 through 2020 to 2024 is because he has done exactly what he said he's going to do for this country. When he said he's going to put America first, he did just that. He shut down the border. He's bringing jobs back to this country. He's making us the top world leader on the world stage. People now fear the United States and respect us all at the same time, which is very good. But when we were traveling down the roads here in Rome, Georgia, he was asking me all these questions, and I was sitting here, well, you know, I'm not really from here, Mr. President, but I can tell you as much as I want to tell you. I was like, Rome, Georgia is blue-collar America. Rome, Georgia is a place where they've got great law enforcement because they got a good sheriff here. They got great health care services right here. They got great leaderships like Katie Dempsey right here. And it is a microcosm of what this country looks like. And so if we want to keep Georgia red, which we do, we need to elect America first, Trump endorse candidates across the board. And I'm so proud to have his endorsement right here because us taking that Senate seat back and keeping the governor's seat in the Republican column starts right here in the 14th district right here. So we got to have your support, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate everything you do, Mr. President, because you are the best. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Burt. Great job. You got to get out and vote for Burt. That whole group. You may have heard that last year the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history to the lowest level in 125 years. With us today is a tough on-crime district attorney here in Northwest Georgia who helped achieve that feat, putting violent criminals behind bars where they belong. And I just want to introduce you because I know he spoke before for a couple of minutes, and I heard what he said, and I loved what he said. It just made me even feel stronger about him. He's an incredible young guy. He's going to be, I think he's going to be just a total winner, and it's what we want. Clay Fuller. Clay, you have my total and complete. Come on up if you want, Clay. Come on up. We want to vote for Clay. He's going to take it home. Total winner. Everybody loves him.
I don't mean to disagree with Ambassador Herschel Walker and the Lieutenant Governor, but I want to see if the crowd agrees with me. Beside me is the greatest president in our country's history. And Mr. President, I know you like a winner, and that's what we're going to do on March 10th. We're going to win this. We're going to go to Capitol Hill, and we are going to be a warrior for Northwest Georgia, and we're going to be a warrior for this man. And we will never stop fighting for the MAGA movement and President Donald Trump. And sir, the endorsement was the honor of my lifetime, but I was wondering if you could do me one more favor. My beautiful daughter is here, Tallulah. She got detention to come and see you speak today. Could you pardon her, please?
Thank you, Clay. Tallulah, where's Tallulah? Stand up, Tallulah. Tallulah, you are fully pardoned. Don't worry. Just tell the teacher I said it's fine. And you have a great father. We got to get out and vote for him, Tallulah. Thank you. Thank you, honey. Our tax cuts, regulation cuts, energy price cuts, and job-creating trade policies are rapidly pulling America out of the economic disaster that Biden and the horrible people that he surrounded himself with. He wasn't calling the shots. He wasn't calling the shots. The auto pen people were calling the shots. Whoever the hell worked the auto pen. I don't know how he did it. You know, I have people, sir, would you sign this? We're making a 4-star general. Sir, would you sign this? We're doing a big plant. Would you? They're all important. You don't give that to an auto pen. It's so demeaning. You're a general. You're an admiral. You don't give that to an auto pen to sign. After gasoline skyrocketed to over $5 a gallon and in some places $7, $8, and even $9 a gallon under Biden, our policies have brought gas prices way down, and now at $2.37 a gallon. But I was in a beautiful place called Iowa 2 weeks ago, $1.85 a gallon for gasoline. Way down. All of it's come down. We inherited a mess with high prices and high inflation, and we've turned it around and we've made it great. And they don't mention, like I said before, they don't mention the word affordability, Kelly. They don't mention, I haven't heard the word in 2 weeks because they can't get away with the gig. It's all a con job with them. Airfares, hotels, car payments, rent, sports events, groceries, everything's down. Everything's down. Dairy, eggs, potatoes and chicken. Core inflation is now the lowest of any time in more than 7 years. The last 3 months, we've had the lowest inflation we have had in over a decade. The last 3 months, it's 1.4%. We had record inflation. You don't have it anymore. I'm going to make a State of the Union address on Tuesday. I hope you're going to watch. And we're going to be talking about it. But you don't hear the word affordability. You know, they just say the word. They look at the camera, say affordability. And I'd be watching, I'd say, oh, I can't believe it. Do people believe it? They would say affordability, everybody would say, oh, Trump's caused. No, they caused the affordability problem, and we've solved it. And we're going still lower, but we've solved it. But more importantly, we've brought back the American dream, and we have a country, I think, that within the next 12 months, maybe sooner, but within the next 12 months, it's going to be the greatest it's ever been. I don't think we've ever seen anything. When Steve Moore told me yesterday, he said, we've never seen numbers. We're going to have an explosion of success, and that's exactly. And the more successful our country, the more successful everybody in this room is. And under Biden, real wages plummeted by $3,000 a year. And there's still much to do, frankly, but our numbers came up. We outpaced inflation for the first time in decades. We increased wage gains for a typical worker, outpaced inflation by over $1,400. For minors, it was $2,200. And for the typical worker at factories like this one, it was almost $4,000 a year that we outpaced inflation, and that hasn't happened in many, many years. Every day we're fighting to reduce costs and bring down prices for hardworking citizens, including crushing costs on health care. And in fact, I read a nice story a few months ago. I love to read things about health care. Can you believe it? I didn't used to read it, now I read it. And what happened is I see that health care was spending, insurance companies are getting from our country for health care trillions and trillions of dollars. And their stock prices have gone up by as much as 1,700%. How would you like to invest in those stocks? 1,700%. And I said right then and there, I said, and it went viral. And knowing nothing about it, it went viral. I said, we shouldn't pay the insurance companies anymore. We should pay the trillions of dollars directly to the people and let the people buy their own health care. We put it in a health care account, and people loved it, and we're looking at it. We're looking at it. The problem is the Democrats are totally bought off and taken care of by the insurance companies, so they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it because they're captive to the insurance companies. Under our most favored nation agreements, and this is the thing that I think every Republican should win on, even if you hate them in every other way. Agreements for drug prices, that we're slashing drug prices by 400, 500, even 600%. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Because we were paying the highest drug prices in the world, and now we're paying whatever the lowest price is in the world. That's the price we're paying. And to do that was also tariffs. I called countries. When I finally got the healthcare companies, the people that make the drugs to do it, and remember, that's going to lower your healthcare because medicine's a big part of the drugs, and it's coming down at numbers like that. But I got the drug companies to do it, and then they said, doesn't matter, you'll never get the countries to do it, because the countries had to agree. So a pill that's selling for $10 in New York is selling, let's say in London, in New York is selling for $130, 13 times more. Think of that, 13 times more. So they said, there's no way they'll ever do it. I said, yes, there is, 100%. I started calling the heads of countries, like France, Emmanuel Macron, he's a good guy. I said, Emmanuel, you're going to have to double the price of your, see, the world is bigger, so you don't have to bring it up like to the middle. They would have to double or triple the price, but that's a lot for a politician. I said, Emmanuel, you're going to have to lift your price by double or triple. No way, I will not do that, Donald. Why would I do that? I would be out of business. I said, no, you're going to do it 100%. No, 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 I will not do that. I will not do that. Yes, you will. You're going to do it. And he said, no, no. I said, here's the story. If you don't do it, I'm going to put a 100% tariff on all of the wine and champagne that you sell into the United States. And you know what he said? I will do it. I will gladly do it. And that's going to cost you many, many times more, right? Howard heard me. With many people. I called Germany. I called many, many countries. Spain. No, Spain was no. We won't do that. He laughed at me, thought I was a fool. We won't do that, sir. Why would I do a thing like that? Because I'm going to charge you tariffs if you don't, and the tariffs are going to cost you much more than what we're talking about. And they all said, like I said, we'd love to do it. We'd be honored to do it. So the Republicans should win on that alone. Your drug prices are coming down by 70, 80, 90%, or, depending on the way you figure it, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900%. Think of it. Depending on the way you want to calculate. There's two ways of calculating that number. We're also expanding the dream of home ownership, and we are really right now in American dream territory. One of the biggest factors driving up housing costs was the Biden border invasion, which brought in millions and millions of people flooding into your communities, getting government subsidies on homes. Foreign-born workers now make up over 1/3 of all demand for Georgia housing, driving up rent and housing costs. Now that we've secured our border, we stopped the invasion. Think of this. Millions of people came through our border every single year. Millions and millions of people. In the last 8 months, I don't even believe this could be possible, but it's close. 0 And that's done by radical left Democrats. Now, not one person in the last 8 months has come through our border, except if they come through legally. So rent prices have hit 4-year lows based on what we've done by bringing down mortgage rates. We've also slashed the yearly cost of new mortgages by $4,000 a year, and new mortgage applications are up 30%, and Kelly Loeffler's doing a fantastic job. In the last 12 months, Fannie and Freddie Mac helped 22,000 first-time home buyers purchase a home right here in the great state of Georgia. I love Georgia. We won Georgia big, didn't we? Too big to rig. It was too big to rig. Vote for Burt Jones. Vote for Fuller. To continue this trend, I'm ending the scam of Wall Street firms and large institutional investors buying up all of the single-family homes all over. They go in, they buy 10,000 houses. Then people come out and they say, we can't buy a house. I ended it. Now you go out and buy a house. They can't do it anymore. Georgia was affected by this issue more than almost any state in the union, but America will not become a nation of renters. We're not going to have a nation of renters. That's why I recently signed an executive order to ban Wall Street and large institutional investors from buying those single-family homes. Can't do it. Not allowed to do it. Not allowed to do it. They were buying tens of thousands of houses, just buying them and putting them in the market for rent. And to stop surges in food prices, we take care of our amazing farmers. Nobody's taken care of farmers like I have. Nobody's ever received the votes of farmers like I have either. I also recently issued $12 billion out of all the tariff money. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We're going to be taking in next year $900 billion in tariffs, unless the Supreme Court said you can't do it. Can you believe it? That I have to be up here trying to justify that with people like you. I have to put you on a stage in front of your family, but you did very well, so it could have been very embarrassing, right? You did very well. But it's a shame that I have to justify this because it's just common sense. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars. Out of that, I gave $12 billion to our farmers because they were taken advantage of by many, many foreign nations. And just over 1 year ago, we inherited a mess, the results of ruinous inflation, economic surrender, a border invasion. They invaded our country, rampant crime and chaos all over the world. But today we've ended that disaster. America is back. Our economy is roaring. And our country is respected again, respected like never, ever before. We've achieved more in 1 year than most administrations achieve in 8 years, and we're just getting started. Oh, we're just getting started. We got things that are happening that are as good as what you've heard. I don't know if they can get better, to be honest, but they're good. With the help of Georgians, we are here today. We're going to have you do something. We're going to have you keep on working, keep on fighting. Together, we're going to make America great again. You know, I came up with that phrase a long time ago, make America great again. Who would have thought? It turns out to be rated, not by me, by anybody, by stupid people, frankly. Anybody would rate it. The #1 phrase in the history of politics in America, right? It's called Make America Great Again. That's what we've done. And when the past administration and guys like Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? When they get up and they say, we will stop MAGA, we are going to fight MAGA, we must stop MAGA, I'd say, no. MAGA means make America great again. You don't want to stop that. And we're doing that, and we're doing it at a much more rapid pace than we ever thought possible. Even the enemies are saying what's happened in this country in 1 year is a miracle. And it's not a miracle. It's common sense. It's smart people working with incredible people like you, the people of Georgia. I want to thank you very much. And to this steel mill, I'm going to come back here in 2 years. I'm going to look it up. You'll be 3 times bigger, and I appreciate it. Great words. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, man, I love the rallies. I absolutely love the rallies. I wish he would do this like once a week. I wish he would pick some place and just speed up and just keep doing rallies. The people love him. I love him. I'm pretty sure you guys love him as well. He hits on he hit on the cheating. He hit on the cheating in Georgia. Of course, the tariffs. He hit on the tariffs as well. That's big. And I just feel his energy. Only one thing I wish that somebody would hire a really relevant production company to properly mic an event, because you couldn't hear the crowd at all. And I think it would really make it better for people who are watching remotely, that we could actually hear the crowd. But other than that, just love it. He had the energy. One thing different, he didn't do his run. He didn't do the run at the end. You know, we're going to make America safe again. We're going to make America wealthy again. We're going to make America great again. He kind of cut it abruptly. So I don't know if somebody gave him a heads up, but he spoke for, well, actually the event, he didn't speak, but it went for nearly an hour and 30 minutes or so. So that was very, very good. I hope it just continues. You know, a lot of people call us fanboys and fangirls. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with it at all. And let me announce something to you. Thankfully, the entire stream did work so far. Knock on wood. It actually worked. I don't know. I can't tell from moment to moment whether things are going to work, but it worked. So I don't know, God willing, it happened and we're able to do that. So I have an announcement. I don't have a drum roll button. I remember Tommy, before he got sick, he had sent us a drum roll. I got to find that again. Drum roll. Many of you guys know we talked about a couple days ago that we were going to go up and do the State of the Union. We're going to broadcast live up there. Rumble has given us access to their studio in Washington, D.C. So we're going to be able to go and broadcast, the whole thing. We're going to broadcast probably Monday, Tuesday evening. So probably 2 shows on Tuesday. And then on Tuesday, they have this like a press row before the State of the Union, and we're gonna we get a table to set up, and we can, if they come by and want to talk to me, they get to sit down, and we'll film them and see if we can't do interviews with them. We'll record those, and then we'll do the show with the State of the Union, and then this is where the drum roll. We got invited to the White House. Yep, Ashley got the call this morning. We will be at the White House. It's not a press conference, which actually is better, because I don't know who it is yet we're going to be talking to, but they invited us specifically because Caroline wasn't having a press conference. So we will be at the White House, Ashley and I. So I can't even tell you how excited we are to be going to the White House, and we're going to share it with all of you. And I, Robin was talking to me earlier. She goes, make sure you tell everybody watching that the only reason you're going to be in the White House is because of you guys. And I'm like, of course. And she goes, make sure you say it. And I'm saying it. There would be no Barry and Ashley at the White House if it wasn't for you guys tuning in. There wouldn't be any Barry and Ashley going to the White House if it weren't for the fact that you guys allowed me to fight through whatever problems we had technologically today, and me turning off the microphone, and you guys still sticking there. And I can't thank you enough for that. I mean, it's just amazing how God has blessed our little small corner of the world. I mean, there's so many different podcasters out there, so many people talking, and it narrows the field narrows considerably in terms of those people who get those kind of opportunities. So I'm not taking it for granted whatsoever. All right, so let me segue. I started off this show, with talking about how the Democrats are in big trouble. And it was interesting that President Trump brought up the quarterback from Georgia, and he brought up Herschel, and he brought up Burt Jones, and he talked a lot about football. I was wondering if that was coincidental or not, because as I was telling you, I'm not talking so much about football as I am as to how bad the liberals have it. Hold on, let me see who this is. how bad the liberals have it. I don't think they can win. And so what I was telling you, the big news today was that the Chicago Bears have announced that they are taking off. They're not going to be in Chicago. It may change. Chicago may come begging on their bellies to try and keep the arguably one of the oldest and most recognized franchises in the NFL. Who knows? Roger Goodell may try to step in and say, no, you can't move. But as of right now, it looks like they are leaving as well. Yesterday, I told you about Palantir, how Palantir decided overnight, basically. Well, they didn't decide overnight, but Denver people found out that Palantir just said bye, and they moved here to Miami. And I was showing you, where is it? I showed you that the governor of Indiana open arms, and then they're passed a law so that they can do what they need to do. And here it was. Greg Price said J.B. Pritzker apparently wants to run for president, but he can't even keep the Chicago Bears in the state of Illinois. And Ian Rappaport, some of you guys may know who he is, but this came directly from the governor of Indiana. The passage of State Bill 27 would mark the most meaningful step forward in our stadium planning efforts to date. We are committed in finishing the remaining site-specific necessary due diligence. I read this to you earlier, and there it came from Mike Braun. Where we left off is Michael Irvin, Hall of Fame wide receiver, formerly of the Dallas Cowboys, was saying even San Francisco sucked, and how he don't want to go back there for any more Super Bowls.
Blah, 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 blah,
Blah, blah, blah.
And I didn't want to dampen anybody thoughts or hope about a Super Bowl during the Super Bowl, so I said, I'm going to wait. But I couldn't wait till this moment came to tell you, damn. This, I believe, the worst Super Bowl I've ever gone to.
The worst Super Bowl he's ever gone to. That gives a big statement to Gavin Newsom and San Francisco, because he's not alone. Many other people have said this sucked. Everything about it sucked. The hotels sucked. The area, the environment, the ambiance, it all sucked.
I mean, look at the NFL, dude. You had that. I don't even want to say the its name, because it's just what somebody give me his name. Just come say his name. I'm gonna say, I'm talking about the halftime show guy, the Puerto Rican, right? Puerto Rican.
Bad Bunny.
Bro, yeah, that
Oh, the culture is changing. I believe his first name is Scott. I think it's this Scott Strickland, MMA fighter, and he's just telling it as it is. And we're seeing the emergence of people willing to say at this point, we're not living like this anymore.
It is so crazy that this is America now. Like back in the day, dude, the NFL was the fucking standard of being a fucking man. And now every fucking year, the NFL, I think they all get together around a table and say, guys, how do we fucking ruin this sport? How do we...
Imagine this being said as little as 18 months ago. They would have come for him so bad. The fact that he's going after Bad Bunny and the expletives that he's using to frame what Bad Bunny actually is. To me, it's like the emperor has no clothes. Nobody said anything for a couple years. Don't you dare. Don't say what this is all about. Don't say it. And now the floodgates are opening, which is causing the Democrats all kinds of consternations and pain. People are like, I see this. We ain't down with it. And this isn't just small people. These are people with big platforms. The NFL doesn't want Michael Irvin saying this kind of stuff. MMA, I don't care. I think Dana White doesn't care. And he's like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Say what you need to say. The veil's been ripped open. And then we keep getting told by people that the Democrats and the Panicans and the Blue Pillars that we're going to lose the midterms. When people are starting to come out and say, Yeah, well, what he's been saying.
Get it up. How do we fucking ruin it? Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we bring a gay foreigner who doesn't speak fucking English and have him perform it?
I am so glad somebody sanitized this. But you guys definitely get you get his inferences here. We would never have heard this. This guy would have been shunned. The writers, the sports reporters at this press conference would have then completely destroyed him. Not now. Now people feel comfortable saying how they really feel. People of prominence, they laughed at Nicki Minaj. They'll probably laugh at Michael Irvin. They'll probably laugh at what Strickland is saying. They'll probably laugh that the Chicago Bears are leaving Chicago. How many times are you going to laugh? How many times are you going to laugh before people realize, so the stuff we've been doing, girls playing in boys sports, or boys playing in girls sports. By the way, girls sports, not gotta salute. The United States women hockey team beat Canada for the gold medal. I don't know if you know this, but the Seattle Seahawks, who won the Super Bowl, declined going to the White House because, after all, it's Seattle. But we'll see what happens to the women's hockey team. Maybe there might be too many, what's playing there. But let's see if they show up to the White House. They'll get the invite. The hell with Seattle. As long as we have people speaking out, it's changing.
Like, get the fuck, and then you have yeah, dude, it's like, the NFL is fucking pathetic these days. So even the NFL players fucking probably hate it. Yeah, no. NFL's, I think we all agree the NFL got real gay lately.
Oh, did you ever think you'd begin seeing this type of people speaking out that forcefully? Did you ever? There's no way. If you had put a gun to my head, there was no way I would think or ever believe that the Chicago Bears, would move out of Chicago. That to me is a lightning rod. That to me is something that is seismic in terms of, if that kind of stuff can happen, whether it's financial or otherwise, it's watch. They won't be the last, especially if what Mandami is doing. I can't even imagine. I would have never imagined even 24 hours ago that could the New York Rangers, could the New York Islanders, could the Yankees, the storied history of one of baseball's most heralded teams, could the Yankees ever leave the Bronx? The question we need to be asking is, could the Yankees survive Mandami? That's the question we need to ask. We need to find out, and I think we will these sports teams in New York be able to survive what Mandami is doing? Another bit of news, and she has seemed to take a big turnabout. Oh, wrong one. Was this. Okay. Bowser. Muriel Bowser from Washington declares an emergency and asks the feds for help with the Potomac River poop spill. She has decided at this point, yeah, I need to have Trump come in. Even though the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, won't do anything, she has now said, can you come in and help clean this up? She openly acknowledges that they can't handle it. All right, so then here's the question again. Would you have ever thought that literally yesterday you would see so many people on the left capitulating? I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have at all. It just seems otherworldly to me that that's where we are at this point. And once that dam is breaking at this point, once we see the fissure, the cracks here, who knows where it's going to end? And yet people keep telling you we're going to lose. And they keep telling us we're going to lose. And one of the big reasons they keep telling us we're going to lose is because nobody's doing anything about the Epstein guy. So today, England did something about Epstein, which I'm sure you've heard. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Interesting in this case as it all unfolds is the shock of this all. Everybody realized that something may happen eventually. They didn't expect it to happen quite like this. And of course, what's significant is the urgency. It's an arrest. It wasn't, an invitation to come down to the police station to give evidence. So I think that's the part that is most shocking right now. And of course, police have to treat this like it's any other investigation for any other person. No special treatment, of course. An arrest also means police can now search his home and possessions. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, of course, is King Charles' younger brother. He has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office over allegations he sent confidential government documents to Jeffrey Epstein.
Ah, now you're talking. You see, everybody was looking for the tie between what he did on the island and can we see some arrest? Well, notice what they arrested him for. They didn't arrest him for diddling little girls. They arrested him for exchanging state secrets. Everybody has missed that one thing right there, that he was not arrested for his indiscretions on the island. What he was arrested for was essentially treason, misconduct of a royal family official. That's what he got arrested for, and that carries a life sentence. And so what's going to happen is now they're going to squeeze him like an orange. In order to stay out of jail for the rest of his life, the king's brother, he is going to have to talk. And what a lot of people aren't even mentioning is how much of what you're seeing right now is because of Donald Trump. There's been talk at this point that Trump was the one who went to England and said, do something. And, nobody wants to actually give Trump that kind of credit. And I'm not, because it doesn't really matter at this point. The only reason I guess it would matter is that because things are happening behind the scenes, and it's not about what people hoped it would be. I've been saying quite some time, there's no evidence. You're not going to put anybody in jail for those crimes. But what is Tulsi Gabbard doing? What are some of the spooks out there looking at? If Epstein was the big framer that everybody said he was, that he was a giant blackmailer, did people disclose information to him? And then if people disclosed information to him, then there's no statute of limitations on treason. Unfortunately, I know people want to see all kinds of heads roll because of what happened with the kids and the girls, but that's not what they arrested him on. Listen some more.
Thames Valley Police said earlier this month that officers were considering those allegations after the files were released by the U.S. government. Now, in a statement released this morning by Thames Valley Police, they did not name Andrew directly as per national guidance, but did say in part, we have today arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office and are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. Now, the man remains in police custody at this time. Now, we're not sure if that's a police holding cell. We do know he could be held for anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. Earlier, newspapers reported that 6 unmarked police cars and around 8 plainclothes officers had arrived at Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate in eastern England, where Andrew, of course, now lives after...
I want you to think of something. Why did they have to do a FBI-style raid against the brother of the king? Why did they have to catch him off guard? Well, obviously, this guy was no doubt a flight risk. If they had said, hey, yeah, Andrew, come on in, we got to arrest you. No, they did a English-style raid and went to pick him up. Because the charges are so great. Life imprisonment. But it's not what people think. I love what Brian Cates said here. It says, understand, Prince Andrew was not arrested or charged yet for any of the crimes with children. He was arrested for, quote, sharing classified governmental information with a foreigner not authorized to see it. Who was the foreigner who wasn't authorized to see it? Epstein? Don't know. That'll come out. Now I worded that last sentence there very carefully, so read it slowly to get my point. What happens to key members of transnational crime syndicates of Luciferian pirates who are freely sharing the state secrets of their respective home nations with each in their comms network when the authorities of their home nations are forced to respond to their emails going public? You realize we're only at the start of this, where suddenly very, very powerful people, previously untouchable above it all, that big club members suddenly get touched and touched hard for doing something to their own countries. The king's brother. Think about that. The king's brother got got hauled in an FBI style raid. Let's continue.
Forced to leave Windsor's Royal Lodge after he was stripped of his titles. Andrew has always, of course, denied any wrongdoing. Now, we also heard from Virginia Giuffre's family, who, of course, she was an advocate for survivors of sex trafficking, one of the most prominent accusers. Her family said within the last hour, quote, "At last, today our broken hearts have been lifted at the news that no one is above the law, not even royalty. On behalf of our sister, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, we extend our gratitude to the UK's Thames Valley Police for their investigation and arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He was never a prince. For survivors everywhere, Virginia did this for you." Now, Lawrence, of course, today also marks his 66th birthday. Back to you.
Ouch. That's a birthday present. All right, so let me show you more about that little nuance of why he was arrested. It says Andrew wasn't arrested for anything to do with underage girls. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, was arrested on February 19th on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The arrest follows recent revelations from millions of pages of the Epstein files, but it wasn't the girls that got him pinched. Okay, the specific allegations leading to the arrest include sharing confidential information, the misuse of his official role as prince. Documents reportedly show him forwarding trade reports from official visits to Vietnam, Singapore, and China, as well as information on investment opportunities in Afghanistan, and he gave those to Epstein. I want to think about that for a second. The women were their trophies. The women were their proclivities that they did, and including the girls. That was the after entertainment per se. What people have never focused on is what was Jeffrey Epstein trading in. See, he wasn't making a whole lot of money on these women. This is the Holy Grail. What were people doing? How did they get blackmailed? What kind of information did they give this guy? If these people were all heads of states and prominent politicians and businessmen, this is going to be very interesting. Extremely interesting, because they just showed us that this may be the hole to drill down on. Maybe not what a lot of people want to hear, but at the same token, it may be the methodology to get some of these people in handcuffs. I've been saying all along, there's no evidence that they can use at all to do something and put these people in cuffs because of what they did to the girls and the women. But if they can tie it into exposing state secrets, oh, there's going to be a lot of people who can be taken down. And it was really interesting to me because I'm just somebody who likes truth. I don't know, that's just me. And I've had him on the show a couple times, and it just bothered me is that I saw this post today. And this post was from General Flynn. And it says, if the Brits can arrest the royal, why can't America arrest blank? And that kind of stuff pisses me off. because he throws stuff out there. The Panicans throw stuff out there. Why can't we do it? Come on, be a little bit more responsible with that. Be a lot more responsible. A, we don't have a royal family. B, number two, we don't have the criminal charge of, quote, misconduct in public office. 3, there's no actual evidence against anyone here that we've seen thus far. 4, none, not a single one of the victims are willing to come out and actually speak. 5, the statute of limitation issues, all of which these people all know. They're not going to be surprised. They're bullcrapping people. They're gaslighting. They know everything I just outlined. They don't even want to talk about it. They just think that people are stupid. Don't be stupid. There's much more that is going to allow prosecutors and investigators to go after, because that stuff, there is no statute of limitations, and the evidence is a lot easier to find and prove, especially when none of the victims are even talking.
First time in London, I was so young. Ghislaine woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince.
Uh-huh. Okay, so this was one woman who did speak out. And when she spoke out, I think you guys noticed something. The timing, I don't know, could this possibly be related? I don't know. But Virginia Jeffrey, I hope I'm saying her name correctly, was ready to speak out and was talking to who? Savannah Guthrie. Yeah, that's Savannah Guthrie. And then after she did this interview, she somehow got hit by a bus. But she didn't die. And then shortly after getting hit by a bus, she committed suicide. But her conversation was with Savannah Guthrie. There's a whole lot of coincidences going on here, aren't there?
And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey. And Ghislaine said, "He's coming back to the house. And I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein." I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved.
Interesting, huh? She couldn't believe royalty was involved. So was that the first royal person that she had been trafficked to? And then, start putting these, I don't know if these are actual pieces that interlock like Legos, but it's just very interesting that the one woman who spoke out got hit by a bus, then committed suicide, and she also happened to be talking to Savannah Guthrie, whose mom they can't find. And then, lo and behold, Prince Andrew gets arrested.
You had sex with Virginia Giuffre because Epstein reveals that in some correspondence. So all the statements that Andrew made in that interview have now been proven to be lies. And I think that he spun the same lies to his mother. But King Charles has seen that these were lies, realizes that Andrew was lying, realized the severity of this scandal and the potential danger to the monarchy itself. Ainsley and I, we've done a lot of stuff together in the UK, of big royal events, from coronations to funerals in the last few years. And previously, we will have all covered things like the death of Princess Diana. These are huge seismic moments in the royal family's history. I have never seen a bigger threat to the future of the monarchy than what is unfurling right now.
Why? Why would one derelict member mean he'd be a complete threat to the monarchy? I don't know. They didn't ask him. And I saw someone in the chat, and somebody said, you know, some of the girls were some of the girls were hookers. Yeah, okay. I don't care. That's on them. I'm talking about real world potential charges, things that prosecutors could actually bring charges. And I think it's going to disappoint some people because they all want the women to be the thing that brings these people down, when actually what it's going to be, more than likely, is charges like this, which are treasonous, is in essence. But just imagine, you've been a part of a royal family. Probably hard for most of us to imagine never having to worry about anything from the time you're a kid till the time you're an old man. Nothing. You don't worry for nothing. You've lived a completely protected, gilded life. You've had everything at your disposal. Money didn't matter. You probably never paid for anything. Most of us have to reach into our wallet when we go to the gas tank or go on vacation. Imagine never paying for anything. Somebody there to turn down your sheets or wash the royal wand or whatever. You think that guy's going to want to go to jail for the rest of his life? You think all of a sudden, wait a minute, no one's turning down my bed? Yeah, Bubba. You think that person's going to want to go to jail, or are they just going to go blah, 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 blah? This, and he says, may take down the monarchy. It may take down more than the monarchy. It may take down a whole lot of other people, because if he was so prolific with Epstein and he saw so many things, this guy may not survive. You got to think right now, people know this dude ain't doing prison time. No. He's not cut out for being in jail. So right now, there's a lot of people with extremely tight sphincters and going, oh, wait a second. Oh, no, this wimp is not going to make it. So what's his only key at this point? Door number 2. What do you need? What do you need for me to talk? And if he talks, and people say, well, that could just be hearsay. And then you got Ghislaine Maxwell. You see, if he says blah, 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 I'm sorry, Michael Irvin said that. If he says yada, 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 and they confirm yada, yada, yada with Ghislaine Maxwell, now we're talking a whole different type of thing. Now you got 2 people with corroborative evidence of not just playing with the girls, but what was being discussed. You know, when they did the deposition of Wexner from Victoria's Secret the other day, it wasn't publicized, but I wonder if anybody answered one question. Why would you give Jeffrey Epstein an $80 million mansion in New York City? Why would you just say, here? I mean, I know you might be philanthropic. You might be, he's a good guy to me, but why would you give him $80 million? The house, free. You can have it. Perhaps he knew something on Wexner, and then they had to, that was who, I don't know. But here's where I'm thinking at this point is that this guy lived the life of privilege none of us could even imagine. And those kind of people, faced with doing the rest of his life in jail on his birthday, his 66th birthday, he gets arrested. He gets brought in, treated like a common criminal. Gonna probably wake up tomorrow and have like bologna and beans. It won't take him too long to start talking. Now, the big indicator to watch for is if Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Tulsi Gabbard, somebody like that, if they're all of a sudden in England. If they're in England next week, man, can you just think about that?
We have so many problems. Immigration, illegal immigration, rocketing, the government not able to control that. We have the government giving away the Chagos Isles against the wishes of the United States and President Trump. We have a defense crisis. We have an energy crisis with an obsession on net zero. We have all of these things going on in the country. At the same time, the left is collapsing and fracturing. The right is apparently collapsing and fracturing. A prime minister who is increasingly unpopular every day, even with those who voted for him. And now we see the royal family, which is meant to be that keystone of British society, of the British constitutional system, also crumbling because of corruption allegations, crumbling because of these Epstein files. It does feel in Britain like the country is in absolute crisis, and that is an identity crisis. And that's a very worrying feeling for the royal family all the way down to regular people.
Funny. I remember some guy standing on a podium talking about, we're going to take care of the Western civilization, Western hemisphere. Y'all got to deal with that. That guy being Donald Trump, who foresaw that Starmer was in big trouble as well. There is nothing going on right now in Great Britain politically that is good news to Brits. Check this out.
These numbers are absolutely atrocious. I mean, you never see numbers like this in the United States, Americans. Britons who like Keir Starmer, look at this. Overall, it's just 1 in 5. It's just 1 in 5. It's 20%. His own party, Labour, he's just at 52% there. I've even seen numbers with satisfaction of him in the teens. This is actually higher than the lowest number. We're talking just about 20%. We always talk about Donald Trump being unpopular in this country, but Donald Trump looks downright like Abraham Lincoln compared to Keir Starmer's numbers at this point.
Well, translate this into American then.
Okay, let's translate this into American. Okay, I think of presidents, I think of leaders of this country who had low approval ratings, and I think of Richard Nixon. Okay, popularity ratings in their own country. In 1974, Richard Nixon, just before he was forced to resign, 24%. But look at Starmer. He's actually lower. He's lower at 20%. He is polling worse now than Richard Nixon was with Americans before he was forced to resign.
So right now, Great Britain is dying for a change. This poll and the information that Harry's talking about was before today happened. They broadcast it today, but they had this data, and it was 20% yesterday. And now you bring in the king's brother, and all this stuff is about to collapse England. Starmer will have no power whatsoever. People will wonder, why didn't you take him down? Why did you not do anything about Prince Andrew? I couldn't arrest royalty. I want to know who signed the arrest warrant. Who said take him? That person got some giant cojones. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But this is where we are. And over here, you've got Marco Rubio telling everybody, we don't want to deal with you people if you're not understanding the power we are going to wield in America. You want to know another big indicator? How many people on the left talked about Prince Andrew today? How many people, these big mouth politicians, the whole squad, Obama, everybody, how many people were saying it's good that this guy got taken off the streets or out of the rose garden of the Buckingham Palace? How many people on the left even applauded this? That should tell you a lot.
And I will note within their own party, they're both at about 50% popularity ratings. That, of course, is a very dangerous number because it's one thing if you don't have the support of the overall electorate, but when you don't even have the real support of your own party, those are the types of numbers that you can say, adios amigos, goodbye, see you later.
We know what this typically means here in the United States, low numbers like this. What have numbers this low, if there have ever been numbers this low, mean for people in power in the United Kingdom?
Yeah, okay, so I went back through the history books. We'll look back through all the stats, all the old British polls that I can find. Okay, let's take a look at UK PMs with ratings as bad as Starmer's. Look at this. All lost or resigned before their next election. So nobody who has had numbers as bad as Keir Starmer has ever survived numbers this bad. Just like
never. So you're seeing a country that is now going to be, if not already, in turmoil. And then you got the mayor of London who's bringing in as many of the, the foreigners as he possibly can, and nobody's stopping that. It's like, he's got their own Mandami in London. And then the prime minister is, the whole government is falling apart. They have no power. And then when you think of the power of internationally, when they tried to do a deal with Canada and everybody else, that's what they're afraid of. President Trump has amassed so much power in such a short period of time, 13 months, where none of the other countries over there really have any formidable chance against the United States. Great Britain has been taken off the chart. They are no longer a foe for anybody. They're no longer an adversary. They're done. Spain, nothing. That's why you probably see Giorgia Meloni from Italy going, President Trump. You're going to see more of these people fall in line because they can't exist without President Trump in America. And President Trump has pretty much said at this point, this is how it's going to be. We're going to take care of the Western Hemisphere, and we're not going to get involved in your craziness. Good luck. That's got to scare them.
Richard Nixon didn't survive numbers this bad back in 1974.
So then what are the prediction markets saying about what could happen to Starmer?
Okay, so what are the prediction markets saying what happened to Keir Starmer? Take a look here. Chance Starmer is out of power by the end of August. Already 59% chance that Keir Starmer is out of power by the end of August. If there was a market later on, I bet this number would climb even higher. But at this point, Keir Starmer has a major size political problem, and I don't think the news of today will help him much at all.
Yikes. 60% of the people in England are like, he won't make it past August. So they are basically a functionless country. Take them off the board. Just take them off the board. And once you start doing that, you realize United Nations doesn't have anything. And whatever happens or is about to happen with Iran, you better do something because there's no reinforcement. Canada, your biggest ally was England. Now England can't do anything. And so if you start checking these things off the box, what are you left with? Denmark, Norway, Sweden? And if Putin cuts a deal with Trump, the only people out there is China. And China's not going to give a crap about England. We effectively have done the Monroe Doctrine, and he's going to control the Western Hemisphere. Don't be surprised very soon. Greenland is a part of the United States. I'm not making this up. I can just see the players on the board. They were trying to create some sort of a coalition to take on America for, don't let them take Greenland. And like, you don't have a coalition. I don't even know if Denmark has an army. I don't think Sweden has an army. That's, I think, one of the things that Democrats are terrified of, and why, if the Panicans and Black Pillars would see this, they're like, he's already taken control. He mentioned today at the rally, hey, Venezuela, and I played you a speech a couple of days ago where they're out there just flying nuclear power plants around. So tell me how we're supposed to lose. Tell me how we're supposed to lose the midterms with all of this stuff that's so good for America. I'm trying to find the bad stuff. I'm trying to find the stuff that the Democrats can hang their hat on. There's nothing there. Let's continue.
Democratic Socialist Mayor Mamdani's new $127 billion budget filled with racial equity, bureaucracy, and six-figure diversity jobs, and he'll pay for it by raising taxes and canceling plans to add thousands of NYPD cops. Our next guest spent more than 3 decades with the NYPD, ultimately becoming one of its top uniformed officers, former NYPD chief of the department, good friend of the show, John Schell. Chief, your reaction to him cutting back the number of officers coming in?
Absolutely not surprised. His whole team is not a big fan of the NYPD. I truly don't think he knows anything about public safety. And now you're going to cut back 5,000. We need about 40,000, and we're roughly close to 34,000. So cutting back 5,000, and we're probably going to lose another close to 4,000 like last year. Recipe for disaster. Public safety is the key to New York City.
All right, so he says, well, I just don't have the money. But what is he spending it on? Let's take a little jog. $5.6 million for the Office of Racial Equity, $4.6 million Commission on Racial Equity, $835,000 Commission on Gender Equity, $260,000 for Department of Education Chief Diversity Officer, $301,000 for 3 FDNY Civilian Chief Diversity Inclusion Officers. There's a title for you. And $118,000 for an FDNY Chief Diversity Inclusion Officers.
So he's wiping out the police in New York. And he's forced to raise your taxes. And he's going to do this and he's going to do that. New York can't happen. But the left doesn't even talk about it. They don't even. I'm saying all this because I want you to feel, or hopefully I can lead you to feel, tell me how or what we're losing on. The economy? Nope. Healthcare? Nope. What are the Democrats going to use, especially when so many companies are like, sayonara, here's another one.
NYU Langone. We want to show you a kind of a wide range of all these other high.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is more of destruction of the Democrats. They are now having hospitals saying, we're not doing this transformer surgery anymore.
Profile hospitals. We're going to scroll them there on the screen. You can see Children's Minnesota Hospital, University of Utah, also some ones out there in Chicago as well, like Lurie's Children's Hospital. So they've either paused or canceled gender-affirming care.
How are we losing? All of the pillars that they stood for, the whole DEI, the transformer stuff, it's all being crumbled. Even the doctors are like, we did something wrong. I don't want to do this anymore.
And as a father to 3 young children, and as a physician who took an oath of to do no harm, I failed to speak up. And I just want to thank President Trump for having more clarity on this, and our society finally came out strongly against this.
You have a doctor going, yeah, we made it. We effed up. We made a big mistake. What does the left do as one by one all of their pillars are just torn down? What do you mean we're not going to give out transformer surgeries? Nah, we were wrong. We shouldn't have done that. You can tell when there's something wrong when they don't talk about it. I don't know if you knew that.
So, like you mentioned, training, you're at the #1 plastic surgery program. You're just grateful to be there. Mm-hmm. There's no room to speak up.
Right.
You're a soldier.
Because if you left, you wouldn't get your degree. You wouldn't become a doctor.
Yeah, you work so hard to get there. You don't want to make waves.
So these people didn't want to make waves, so they just acquiesced. But now they're coming out and they're speaking about it and they're letting everybody know, we're wrong. I'm so sorry. It just keeps happening. And along with, as I was going to say, companies leaving. Boeing decides they are going to take their business out of blue DC and move it into, although it's a blue city, St. Louis, they're moving into Missouri. The Democrats, there's nothing there. The jobs are just leaving. Here's another one for you. Well, no, this is pretty much the same one. It says here, Virginia Democrat Sparnsberger just lost Boeing's headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. He said D.C., but it's actually in Arlington. Boeing announced on Wednesday that it will shift its defense, space, and security headquarters back to St. Louis after relocating to Chicago and then Arlington in 2022. Companies are now fleeing Virginia. No, companies are fleeing everywhere blue. So the question I'm going to leave you with today, and you can just ponder it yourself, is how are we supposed to lose the midterms when everybody right now is seeing this mass exodus from blue cities? We're seeing sports teams leaving. We're seeing giant companies like Palantir and Boeing going, we're out, when they're stopping transformer surgeries. You can look at this yourself. You can decide where is it that we're supposed to lose? What is the term? What is the policy that as of today, with these people screaming, what's the policy that we're losing on? I don't know. And yet some of these people, as I've said, will post 100 times a day saying, oh, you've lost. President Trump talked about home ownership today. I showed you that mortgage rates are going down. What do these people want? And then you get this idiot. This is her policy. Ilhan Omar says Democrats don't just want to abolish ICE, they're already planning on how they're going to dismantle DHS entirely. Omar says there's a lot of conversation about what the dismantlement of the Department of Homeland Security should look like. What does that mean? What are you offering the American people? Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. All right, so what else do I have? That's pretty much where I was going today, and now you guys can see it. And so the one last vestige that President Trump is going after is the cheat. And if he solves the cheat, if Fulton County can come up with some information, if we can if we can vote in voter ID in the Save America Act, they're done. Done. That's why I'm so, happy about it. That's why I don't listen to any of these people who are saying we're going to lose the midterms. Barry getting hungry. Yeah, Robin and I are going out to dinner. Why is she still here? I don't know. I don't know why she's still here. Yeah, Omar's got nothing. None of them have anything. None of them. Let's see. Keep praying God hears and is healing our land. Yeah, I think that's one of the one thing I wanted to show you today. It was great because President Trump was doing a rally, is to let you guys know we don't just have hope, everything. I mean, it was very interesting today. Out of all the days, he came out and said, remember when I used to say about there's so much winning? And he actually said it again today. He said this.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
Yeah, I mean, he actually mentioned it today. I found that interesting. He's like, I told you you're going to have so much winning. You're going to, and he mentioned it. And I feel odd sometimes when I hear people complain so much and I realize he's trying to tell you, I got this. So I don't know, fraudster, pollsters, and everybody else out there. I'd rather listen to the guy who is doing it and is making it happen. So that's what I got for you tonight. And I thank you guys for staying or coming back and watching tonight, because I know it was problematic with things turning off. So the message they gave me, they're sending out, my home internet is with AT&T, and then my office has just an office internet. And so here at home, they're bringing out an AT&T streaming guy. He's going to look at if I've got everything wired correctly or not. And then they probably might try to upsell me to another service. So we shall see. But in any event, that's what I got for you tonight. What are we going here? But Dami newsflash, even my dog is winning. Big Cat, you deserve a grand trip to Washington. Thank you. Woohoo, fanfare. Yeah, I mean, Ashley's sending me pictures about our setup and everything. We're psyched. Tania, Barry and Ashley going to the White House is epic. We are so proud of you. I am so thankful of you. Brandon Johnson may go into hiding in disguise. Your fanfare family adores you, and I adore you guys as well. And I thank you all for giving me the second chance and everything. Before I go, I just got to play this again because it's just too funny. The Brandon Johnson thing, because in the midst of everything, and he's gonna lose the Chicago Bears, I don't even know what the heck he was thinking here. Where is that? Where is it? Number 22. Okay. And then I'll go into the after party, but this is just too much for me. Hold on. Oh, wait a second. Just listen to this again. This just cracked me up.
Is my face straight? Okay. All right, to keep a straight face here. The Bears belong in the city of Chicago. The Chicago Bears belong in the city of Chicago, right? And I've said repeatedly that the door is always open for conversations, and, Kevin Warren did call me yesterday. We didn't get a chance to connect, and I still firmly believe that their best position is in Chicago, and it's evidence. The evidence is clearly speaking for itself.
Yeah, you're losing the Chicago Bears. That ain't good. I cannot believe. I think the Bears, I have to look them up. I think they've been playing in Chicago for something like 80 years. Bye. Liberals got nothing.
Bye.